Hi, this is Nick and you're watching Plot Points. In this video, we're going to discuss why Luke uses the blue lightsaber during the climax of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Luke Skywalker is one of the most iconic characters in cinema history, and his blue lightsaber is one of the most recognizable weapons. However, he famously lost it during the dramatic climax of Empire Strikes Back, leading to the construction of a new green lightsaber that he used during Return of the Jedi. Many fans associate the green lightsaber with the more mature version of Luke, who has finally mastered his powerful connection to the Force, and understandably hope to see it show up in Episode 8. It does make a few brief appearances, but only in flashbacks. During the climax of the film, when Luke appears on Crate to face Kylo Ren and save the rebellion, he once again uses the blue lightsaber. However, we soon learn that Luke was only there in spirit, projecting an image of himself with the Force. Theoretically, Luke could have constructed an image of himself using any color of lightsaber, and fans were surprised not to see the green lightsaber during this scene. So the question remains, why does Luke use the blue lightsaber specifically at the end of The Last Jedi? Now, there's actually more than one reason for this. The first reason is to clue audiences into the fact that something out of the ordinary is going on in this scene. Audiences had seen the blue lightsaber torn in half only a few scenes earlier, so seeing Luke show up with it intact was jarring. In fact, Luke's use of the blue lightsaber is one of several details designed to make audiences suspicious. Other details include Luke's trimmed beard and younger appearance, the fact that he never leaves footprints on the surface of Crate, his refusal to make contact with Kylo Ren's lightsaber, and most obviously the fact that he isn't blown to smithereens by AT-M6 cannon fire. There's also a scene earlier in the film where Luke enters Rey's hut and sees Kylo Ren, demonstrating to the audience that it's possible to project an image of oneself across the galaxy. When I first watched The Last Jedi in theaters, these moments stood out to me, but I wasn't immediately sure what to make of them. I didn't guess the twist before it happened, but these small details planted throughout prevented it from feeling unearned or completely out of left field. But this is a technical reason. Filmmakers foreshadowing a twist to create a sense of fair play with their audience. The main reason I want to discuss is a narrative one, and to talk about this, we have to back up a bit. It's widely known that George Lucas based elements of the first Star Wars film on what mythologist Joseph Campbell called the hero's journey, an archetypal story structure for mythical heroes. The first beat of this story structure is what Campbell termed the call to adventure.
Hello there.
It's the thing that first invites the hero to partake in the events of the narrative, and to exchange their mundane existence for what is often a supernatural adventure. The call to adventure is often characterized by the presentation of an ancestral or otherworldly weapon, which signifies the hero's first encounter with a deeper realm of experience. Think about famous characters like Theseus, King Arthur, or Aragorn. And for Luke Skywalker, the blue lightsaber serves this same function. When Obi-Wan first gives it to him, he encourages Luke to leave his home planet and learn about the ways of the Force. And when Luke first practices with the lightsaber, Obi-Wan tells him,
"You've taken your first step into a larger world."
These scenes are so iconic that the blue lightsaber has come to symbolize the call to adventure throughout the Star Wars universe. In The Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams puts this symbolism to use, as first Rey and then Finn are presented with the blue lightsaber as they are drawn into the fight against the First Order. In Rey's case, the call to adventure is even made literal, as Maz Kanata tells her,
"That lightsaber was Luke's, and his father's before him, and now it calls to you."
The Force Awakens purposefully borrows many of its story beats from A New Hope, and one of the most prominent of these is giving its characters a call to adventure in the form of Luke's blue lightsaber. But no hero's story would be complete without bumps in the road, which brings us to the second stage of the hero's journey, the refusal of the call. In his classic book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell writes, "The myths and folktales of the whole world make clear that the refusal of the call is essentially a refusal to give up what one takes to be one's own interest." In other words, each of the characters in Star Wars has something that's holding them back, some idea they have to give up before they can answer the call and take on the mantle of hero. In Rey's case, this is her belief that her parents will return to her on Jakku, and that she needs to be there waiting for them. Finn believes that the First Order can't be beaten, and that the only solution for anyone is to run. And in the original Star Wars, Luke initially refuses the call because he has to stay and help with the harvest.
I can't get involved. I've got work to do. It's not that I like the Empire, I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it right now.
Following these characters as they confront and struggle with and overcome these objections is not only why they resonate with us, it's actually what makes them heroic. Watching Rey finally embrace both the Force and the lightsaber after rejecting both throughout The Force Awakens is one of the most powerful moments of that film. So with all of this in mind, let's return to Luke's story in The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi begins with Luke receiving a call to adventure that perfectly echoes the one he received in A New Hope. Luke is living in the middle of nowhere when a stranger arrives, presenting him with a message from Leia and his father's lightsaber. It's the same two factors that kicked off the events of the original Star Wars. But this time, things go differently. To put it mildly, Luke isn't having it.
Go away!
The refusal of the call is the central theme of Luke's story in The Last Jedi. Luke is demoralized and disheartened, and in addition to seeing him reject the lightsaber, we learn that he's closed himself off from the Force as well. In some sense, we're seeing Luke as he was at the start of A New Hope, without the Force, without a lightsaber, and without a belief that he can have a positive impact on the galaxy.
You don't need Luke Skywalker.
Seeing a hero we know and love shy away from the call to adventure rubbed some fans the wrong way, but I believe this take was far more compelling than if Luke had immediately risen to the occasion. Like Finn and Rey, Luke is held back by a belief, and he tells us exactly what this belief is.
I can't be what she needs me to be.
Luke doesn't believe that he can be the legend that everyone wants him to be, and due to his own past failures, believes that setting anyone up as a legend is a recipe for disaster. It's a viewpoint that's fueled by his own inadequacies, and he's holding on to it pretty tightly.
Nothing can make me change my mind.
Partway through the film, Rey offers Luke the lightsaber for a second time, and for a second time, Luke refuses the call, and Rey sets off alone. This is the low point of the story. Twice we've seen our hero offered the chance to join the fight, and twice we've seen him refuse the call. But this is the hero's journey after all, and the Star Wars saga is about characters who ultimately rise above their circumstances to join the fight between good and evil. After Luke finally reconnects with the Force, he has a chat with Ghost Yoda, who pushes him to finally accept his failures and move beyond them, and it turns out to be exactly the push that Luke needed. So when Luke appears at the end of the film, it's not just a hero arriving to save the day. It's the fulfillment of a theme that's been explored throughout The Last Jedi. We've spent an entire film seeing Luke shirk the mantle of hero, but now he finally accepts it. This is why Luke uses the blue lightsaber, to symbolically embrace the weapon of the hero that he'd rejected throughout the film, the same one that began his heroic journey all those years ago. Ultimately, it's his willingness to answer the call that makes Luke Skywalker what he is to Star Wars fans and denizens of the galaxy alike. A legend. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, or leave a comment, and subscribe to Plot Points for more narrative content. Cheers.